Just like the street lights lit this town, like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Come in just
What's going on, everyone? Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome back to some DZG Gaming. My name is Morpheus. I'm joined by the ever so lovely Mac Fries. How you doing today, mate?
I'm doing all right. Excited to see Elysium kick off their first week in AGL.
Yeah, this will be actually really good fun. Elysium, whole new roster has been put together. Cloud Gaming, a very well-known org within multiple levels, both in gold, plat, diamond as well. We've seen them around quite often. Really good org, people we enjoy playing against, but also playing with as well. Week one, we are in, let's be honest, unknown territory where the new patch has just dropped. With this, we are going to assume a lot of the healthy champions that can come out that can also shred HP, but also sustain forever, i.e. Swain, will be taken off the table. Anything particularly you want to see or don't want to see coming up?
One thing that I want to see if both teams take in consideration is the Grievous Wounds nerf for all items. It's been severely reduced for both completed and basic Grievous Wounds.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm interested in seeing if either of these teams are going to opt to a healing heavy team because the opponents won't have as easy of a response.
I think if we go down that route, you'll see a lot of champions like Sona, Seraphine, Soraka, all the S's, right? All the healing champions begin with. That's for some bloody bizarre reason. A lot of those may be considered quite prio as well. Lux coming in. This is coming in as a flex, so Easton could take this up in the mid lane, or this can go in the bot lane for Clown Gaming as well. I would imagine that's actually an interesting first pick because while you can keep it flexible quite heavily, Lux has great range, but burst potential can be a little bit difficult considering the new durability patch and all the changes that have come in.
Yeah, Lux could be a little difficult due to the durability, but both the support for Clown Gaming plays a decent amount of mid lane in his or her spare time, and the mid laner, Easton, plays Lux themselves. So that's a really good flex, but it's not. I don't really consider it a high priority pick. So I would personally consider it more of a blue 2 or blue 3 pick.
I think having it picked B1, as we see the Wukong and Ornn coming in for Elysium, the Lux coming in, it does allow them to have a lot of flexibility in regards to where it rolls, so it's going to keep Elysium picking. Wukong is considered one of the top 3 champions still currently in the game right now, even on this new patch. The Ornn coming through tells us that this Wukong is 99% going jungle, still can be flexed to mid or support. I don't think we'll be seeing it there. I do believe Angry will end up taking this to the jungle. Ornn top lane is just a staple. You can still blind GP into it if Feathers of Fur feels like it is comfortable enough to do so. Senna coming in. This is, as much as I love Senna, this game can potentially run away really quickly for Clown Gaming if this bot lane ends up getting ahead. This tells me that maybe Lux Senna bot lane together, because they are a very good pairing together.
Very good pairing,
Mhm.
and I am respecting Clown Gaming holding onto that flex, not showing where that Lux is going just yet. And on the side of Elysium, they're taking away the Ornn, which is Feathers and Fur's #1 played. The Trundle in response is a decent response, even if it is in the jungle and not necessarily laned against the Ornn. It really can buy time against Ornn in team fights. You see Ashe locked in here, likely going to ADC, to DZG hello. And
Is it really, though? Because I know you got some spicy Ashe talk coming up.
oh yeah, I have been addicted to the Ashe support. In competitive 5v5s, I've even talked to Gopamine, Elysium's coach, about this, of how useful the ult can be once you get to even just 2 items on that champion in the support role. And it's really a good flex that I think a lot of teams aren't using at the moment, and I'm really hoping that Elysium at least threatens it. But I do not know Symphonic's comfortability on the Ashe support.
I will tell you one thing, just for those who aren't aware, the Ashe support, once you get 2 items built on her, I max out on your R cooldown. Your cooldown on that Enchanted's Crystal Arrow tends to drop to around the sub 30 second mark. So you can literally just hit and hope, and whenever something lands, you may see what comes out from there. Talia taken off the board, I think, is a very good ban. I think she is arguably one of the very best champions in the game right now. AD carry-wise is still open on the side of Elysium. I would imagine something like the Cogmore maybe something to be alive if we end up seeing this Ashe going to support. However, I do think you're right in saying that Hello will end up taking this to the AD carry spot. I am very curious to see what ends up in mid lane here, because for Liverpool's champion pool, we see more mid laners taken off the pool in Ari as well. I would imagine they're going to keep Liverpool picked to last, and that Symphonic will be picking up the support here. The guy loves his Nautilus and the Leona as well, so I would imagine it'll be one of them two. Gives them heavy engage against the Lux and Senna, but will struggle a lot in laning phase if he ends up going out with this, though. My gut tells me that the Nautilus may potentially be coming through for him, though.
Yeah, Symphonic definitely a enjoyer of a lot of the tankier engaged supports who have fallen. That pick did not go in. We'll see if we can update y'all soon once we find out who it's supposed to be.
It's Nautilus.
All right, so as we predicted, it's the Nautilus lock in. Engaged supports not faring as well on the newer patch. They can still work if you find some of the squishier members like the Lux or the Senna. But you're going to have a really hard time getting through something like this Trundle or this Leona that we see now.
Yeah, I think the reason for picking up Cloud Gaming had us acting like fools. Sorry, I had to get that joke out of the way. Leona coming in will be going in support for Cloud Gaming. So this Lux is going to be 99% in Eastern's hands, taking it to the mid lane. So they kept Elysium running for quite a while. Nautilus into Leona generally does favor the Leona a wee bit more because she has just a tiny bit more CC. Nautilus tends up to be kind of a one-directional champion who just wanted to go forward. I love this pick. Lilia coming through. She is fantastic in the jungle, but also has been seen a lot in the top lane as well.
Yeah, we've seen Lilia in the top lane a lot due to the recent patches. So even though we see all 5, we really don't know who this Ornn's going to be facing and who this Wukong is going to be facing in the jungle. kind of leaving this mid pick really susceptible since they don't know the jungle matchup.
My thought would be that you would take the Lilia top lane. If she ends up going Leandries, will just burn down this Ornn pretty darn quickly. And then Trundle can play into the Wukong as well. We see Victor being picked up by a level coming in on the mid lane as well. So my thought is that it would be Lilia going into the jungle. Into the top lane, into the Ornn. Trundle going into the jungle. Both can be flexed either around, though. Both are decently good into Ornn. The problem you have for Cloud Gaming is that if you don't end this game by around 30-ish minutes, the ornaments start coming in, which really adds a lot of power, not only onto the Ashe, but onto the Victor as well. So my thought is that Cloud Gaming is going to want to try and snowball a heavy lead, ideally either onto the Lux or the Senna. A Trundle with it can just run away with the game as well, especially if he ends up going to Outbreak and just ends up splitting throughout the entire game. Overall, I think on both sides, both look pretty solid as far as compositions go.
Yeah, both sides are pretty solid. Both have pretty clear win conditions with a few alternatives. You have the scaling on the side of Elysium with their Ornn Victor, as well as the pick alternative with the Ashe Nautilus. And you have the hard engage on the side of Cloud Gaming with the Leona, the Lilia Sleep, and you have the burst with the things like Senna, like the Lux. So I'm really interested in seeing, as you said, it's really on Cloud Gaming to see if they can start snowballing this game faster than Elysium's wanting it to go.
I think that's a good point to bring up, because you think about what Cloud Gaming invested in, right? It's not often you see a Lux being picked, not just first pick, but B1. Like, yes, it can be flexed between Eastern and Hidden Shrouds, even though it is full comfort for Eastern. It's very telling that Cloud Gaming says, you know what, the fact that you've left this Lux up means that we can take that and play it into any darn thing that comes up. Coming into it, like, if Ashe gets caught by one thing, Hello is not going to have a great time there. Lux, no matter how much durability you have, mate, this Lux will still potentially one-shot you back to the fountain on the great screen. But I'm very curious to see where the attention of Cloud Gaming comes to. Eastern very comfortable on the Lux, so that tells me, hey, they may put some pressure there. But even coming into the bot lane as well, kills and Hidden Shrouds, they have kill potential bot lane as well. Now, do you want to see if this is going to be I doubt it'll be a farming center. I would imagine it'll be a farming Leona, though, no?
I think it's going to be a farming Senna. The soul drop rate on minions she killed did get buffed in this most recent patch. I believe it got knocked up to 9%. And one thing I was going to say about the overall team compositions is the amount of triggers that Elysium has. They have the Ashe Arrow, the Ornn ult, the Wukong clone Cyclone engage. There's a lot that Cloud Gaming is going to have to look out for once these team fights get later into the game, assuming they haven't snowballed to the point where they can just take everything and still win these fights.
Agreeing with that, you also forget the Nautilus as well, because Nautilus is like, hey, if I press R on someone, you have to kind of like part the Red Sea because of the way Nautilus's ultimate works, and just want to go forward. But if one thing misses, chances are something else will be able to hit as well. They have great CC setup, but also don't take away anything from Cloud Gaming. Trundle will steal all the stats away from this Ornn, so this Ornn may end up potentially being fairly squishy, while the Trundle will just get beefy as hell. They do have a lot of damage over time with the Lilia. And then Senna, if this, once kills reaches 100 stacks on the Senna passive, the Senna, you're not going to be able to get a range of it. Like, the only thing that could really push in would either be a really good Enchanted Crystal Arrow or a Call of the Forge God coming in from Ornn.
Yeah, and as we kind of wind down the champs, like people start locking in their runes, I really think the things we need to look out for Cloud Gaming is going to be Eastern on this Lux in the early game, and CG kills on the Senna in the late game for Cloud Gaming, and we need to see the team cohesion for Elysium. So if they can sync up their ults, sync up their engages later on, I think those are the main things we need to watch out, and both teams need to rely on for a chance of winning this game.
All right, so I'm going to put you on the spot then. Comp-wise, who you got?
Comp-wise, I'm going to give this to Elysium due to the ease of execution. This is a gold league. A lot of people, there still are a lot of good people, but ease of execution in gold leagues tend to be more favorable than anything else that you could consider for teams.
I'll agree with that. I think DZG has a better draft. However, it's like 6-4. Like it's only ever so slightly favored in DZG's favor, in my opinion, because of the fact that I still genuinely believe if Clown Gaming can get Eastern a little further ahead or get Feathers of Ferg somewhat far ahead on this Lilia, you buy so much time for Senna to be able to just fully scale up. And as much as I know, as much as I'm an Ashe one trick and I love the champion, Ashe into Senna at 35 minutes or so, you end up taking the Senna at that point. I'd rather have the Senna on my team in that sense. Saying that though, we are going to take a quick break, jumping in for spectator delay. Don't forget, while you guys are all here, we have a new partnership with us here at DZG. We have partnered with Dubby, a lovely, clean little energy drink that's meant to support all of us. Not quite as much caffeine as you get from a pre-workout, but if you want something to just keep yourself focused while in your gaming or your study sessions, have a check it out. We will post it in the Twitch chat. But we'll be right back in a few minutes for our first game of AGL with DZG Elysium versus Clown Gaming Fools.
Town, from London to Taiwan, I've been all around the globe trying to protect your soul. I want you to come over. I wish that you would come and give me something to prove. Won't you pull me closer? I think that I'm obsessed with everything that you do. I'm waiting, trying to be patient. You look like a painting. It's so frustrating. I hate it, yeah. I probably shouldn't say this. I probably should erase it. I probably shouldn't say this. I wanna be with you. If that's the last thing that I could do, I wanna be with you. If that's the last thing that I could do, call me a fan.
Welcome back, everyone. For the first game of AGL, we got Clown Gaming on the blue side and DZG on the red side. Coming into this game, I think because it's first week of the season, and both teams are, having fairly freshly put together, we are going to see a little bit more chaos on both sides, just because, teams are still learning on how to play with each other, though. Looking at both teams, Mags, you were correct in saying that the Senna is most likely going to be farming. Fleetfoot, but coming out of it, though, nothing really seems to be standing out on either side rune-wise.
Yeah, nothing really standing out rune-wise. We have pretty much matching summoner spells, except for the discrepancy of the ADCs. You have Hello going with the heal, and you have Kills going with the cleanse, trying to survive some of this engage on the side of Elysium.
Yeah, cleanse is probably a very, very good idea because you have the stun from the Nautilus auto. You also have the Enchanted Crystal Arrow from Hello as well. It does briefly get rid of the passive, the slope auto attack from Ashe as well. However, usually if you get caught up in that, it's a pretty bad day. Ashe tends to run away with this lane fairly early, just because her level 1 is just seriously strong compared to Senna's. Both, if we look at both sides, though, we do see Angry Presence starting off on the top side. This is allowing Hello and Symphonic to potentially get a little head start here on the bot lane. Induced, I would assume, is going for a full 4-camp kill here before potentially making something happen. Kills and Hide and Shroud have shown up. Easton is taking a bit of a trade with Lovable here, though. Let's trade something back quite nicely. I can't wait to see how this matchup goes up. Lovable and Easton's going to be a really fun one to watch.
Yeah, I am interested in seeing how that matchup works. But if you notice that before the minions even started dying, Lovable had a very aggressive ward, invading alone for the ward on Clown Gaming's Raptors. And that's going to tell them exactly where this trundle is, since the Lilia kind of faked the leech top and they had no exact way of figuring that out.
Yeah, these guys just don't want to stop trading, do they? This should be a pretty exciting mid lane. Easton now taking a little bit of chunk damage from Lovable. And as we said, kills and Hide on Shrouds were going to be a little bit behind coming into this game purely because Ashe is just such a strong level 1 champion. But now they have level 2. Hide on Shrouds now has become significantly more dangerous. Top lane, I just don't think anything's going to happen here. ICG is just going to be like, yeah, fun. As you see something here, Induce coming up to mid lane. Lovable is trying to dodge the pillar, doesn't quite make it. Has flash, is it going to burn it? Does burn it here. Both flashes burn on the side of Clown Gaming as well. Gives first blood over to Easton.
So that's 1 flash on the Victor for 2 flashes. And one thing I hadn't gotten into was the pathing for Induce, clearing his entire bottom side before going up top. And his only option was that mid lane gank. Because you know you're not going to really get a good gank off on Ornn, especially with Lilia pushing in. And Lovable TP's back, and we're looking at something possibly happening bot lane.
You're just buying some time for, because, you know, this Leona can also be very dangerous, but Angry Present is down here as well. But they may be able to make something happen as Symphonic is able to move up. Hello gets a slow off on kills. This is a bit of a big wave coming into them as well. As Hide and Shroud does go in, Angry Present is here. Ashe is really getting chunked down heavily, though. They should be turning around upon this Leona. Hide and Shroud now is in a lot of doo-doo trouble. Does still have the flash. I don't think you're going to burn it here. Maybe you can get across the wall. No, doesn't get it. Hello ends up getting the first kill in the bot lane there. Bit of a long way to get the kill off, but still good reply back onto DZG.
Long way, good reply, not just kind of rolling over in this early game. And if you notice, Angry Present didn't waste a whole lot of time, because before that gank, he was taking Scuttle Crab on the bottom side of the river. So even though it looked like he was standing there for a lot of the time, he was still making use of that time he was there.
Yeah, it's good to see Induced and Angry Present both trying to make themselves felt present on the map. One thing we love to see is aggression from jugglers on both sides. Seeing both Induced and Angry Present do that makes it for really good viewing pleasure. Hello is only down to about 20% HP here. Kills is still up fairly high. So seeing how this thing's come up, Feathers and Fur is going to be quite right now. Induced is taking away some lovely chickens away from Angry Present. I don't think he's quite noticed, though. Hide and Shroud has been sitting in this bush for quite a while. Been missing a fair amount of XP. But I don't think maybe ends up walking around. Doesn't have Ignite, but does have Flash. May potentially be able to make something happen, though. As you see Hide and Shroud starting to walk forward, it's going to potentially make something happen upon the bot lane here. As goes in, Symphonic is really keeping Hello alive well here. Gets the root off and the stun off onto Hello. Hello's going to end up not quite dying as of yet. Is he out? Hello is just about out. Keep running, Sunshine, so you don't die. Symphonic doing a great job. Healy. Net stopping quite off the back there, but a lot was fatally burned. The flash was burned on the side of Shroud as well. Good job staying alive, though, by Hello, and Symphonic did a great job as far as peeling goes.
Yeah, really good job peeling on the side of Symphonic. And one thing I was going to mention before that is the flash discrepancy between Hello and kills, and hoping that Present was going to find some good use for that. But now you have all 4 summoners on both sides spent, and I'm really interested seeing how both teams play to that, because you have a relatively immobile Senna, and you have a really immobile Ashe. And neither support can offer a lot of increased mobility other than trying to peel people off of them.
I would imagine if you have either or, you'd want the Ashe, because the Ashe's passive, is so bloody strong. Like, once you get caught up in that slow, and it's extremely difficult for you to be able to escape, especially if Hello is able to fully kite properly. We did see Induce kind of just hovering around the bot lane. Angry Present is going to be backing up here to be able to pick up that Sheen into long swords. I would imagine that if you're going to try and put pressure anywhere, bot lane would be a really good place to put it, because having an Ashe that's fairly far ahead early is never a bad thing. But also having it for center as well. If Kills is able to get a little bit more stacks, we see Kills is going on the lethality route compared to Hello, which has gone Noon Quiver. As we see a fight coming in top lane, ICGE and Feathers and Fur, somewhat tickling each other here. This fight durability patch coming in real clutch right now for both sides. I would imagine that Hello is going to go for either Gale Force or Kraken, just because that's what we see, along paired with the Phantom Dancer. However, something that we've also seen fairly recently as well, thanks to China in particular, is the fact of going straight on here. Easton is going to get caught up in his gravity well here. The Lovable ends up putting the Chaos Storm down upon him. This Lux may not be long for the world here. Induce is going to be here to try and provide a little bit of protection. Lovable may end up committing to this. Doesn't end up getting the kill though. Lovable is about to die. Dies to the final spark from Easton as well. Induce is still chasing onto Angry Present. And we see Feathers of Fur already making the rotation here as well. That was Lovable, I think, thinking, you know what, I think I'm going to die here. Let me see if I can just potentially trade something off. But really good place to stay alive as far as Easton goes, and Induce coming in right when it was needed.
Yeah, and if that was the thought process, I'm gonna have to disagree with it, because you had the ability to just walk away, take the chunk onto the Lux, but by chasing and trying to get that last laser, which wasn't enough damage to kill because it hasn't gotten its evolution yet, you really didn't get a whole lot except for dying. Do you see the rotation up? DZG paying a lot of attention for this first Rift Herald, and Clown Gaming just saying, okay, maybe Lilia can miracle steal with her bowling ball, but we're just gonna take the dragon and go 1-for-1.
Yeah, I think you end up rotating the bot lane because it just allows you to have more pressure to guarantee first throw. First throw is generally seen as more important versus the second one. And think about it, like, Hello is already still at a 15 CS advantage. And we see two people coming mid lane. Induced gets the pillar up, but nothing ends up coming much about it. The rest of the DZ just stays nearby just to see, hey, can we just make sure he stays alive? Lovable falling a wee bit behind on this Vector is not great, but also Easton having full comfort on this Lux and is now 2-0 up. This will be a problem for DZG. That's something that they're going to have to answer fairly soon. I don't imagine where Hello is in front of it. Oh, never mind. Induced is still wanting to have a bit more fun onto Lovable here. Lovable ends up flashing the binding as well. Subjugate has been used on the side of Induced. Didn't get too much of it, but you're still putting more and more pressure upon this mid laner, which puts this Vector further and further behind. However, we say that Hello in this bot lane is still pretty far up as far as CS go comparatively to Kills production. If we're able to get a soul count on Senna, we would greatly appreciate it. Game's slowing back on both sides though, but Angry Peasant does have the Rift Herald to be able to make an impact somewhere though.
Yeah, DZG falling down a little bit in gold, it's about 700, but a lot of that can be made up when this Rift Herald is dropped. One thing that we did end up missing while watching the fight in mid lane of Lovable, Hello spent his first Astra arrow and honestly didn't get a whole lot out of it. Didn't get any flashes and didn't really get a chunk on them either. Got a gank forming up top lane.
Yeah, ICGE going in, Call of Portugal coming in, Feathers and Fur is going to be in a wee bit of trouble. Angry Person is also here as well. Flash coming up from the side of Feathers and Fur. Sleepy coming in, both. One of them is a Sleeper, but they've got out here. Easton's also in trouble. Don't think you want to dive down a Lux, my friend. Ends up walking away. That was actually huge for the side of Clown. Both Feathers of Fur and Easton getting out alive.
Yeah, both getting out alive and surviving the ganks. And one thing that I am enjoying is seeing DZG still playing proactive even though they have the scaling comp, trying to go for these aggressive plays and kind of ganking both top and mid lane, knowing that Induce on this tunnel can't respond to both.
Speaking of so, Induce is going to try and have a little fun with ICGE here though. Subjugate is not up yet, but will be up soon. ICGE does not have the ultimate room because it was Bird against Feathers and Fur. Should be able to get out here. Induced. Yeah, catching an Ornn is not fun sometimes because my guy can just run away.
Catching an Ornn without your Subjugate and ICG still had Flash, so wasn't exactly concerned, was just wondering if we had to spend that. And, you know, that would have been a waste of time if we were able to see Present get much, but there wasn't a whole lot on the map, so you can't exactly blame Induced for just seeing if this long shot play can end up doing something.
Yeah, I like the fact that how Induced has been around everywhere. Like he's tried to impact every lane. Most notably, has helped Eastern get those 2 kills upon this Lux to get far ahead. Hello is now at level 7 along with Symphonic, so it's still the Ash on the Enchanted Crystal Arrow. Will also have a fair bit of the cooldown, quite long. Kills has been decently out of lane, is 40 CS down now against Hello. Induced has shown, Lovable ends up getting tagged upon by Hyde and Child, ultimate coming through from the owner as well. Lovable continues to get rooted in 1 HP down, ends up being taken down by Eastern on Comfort as well. Symphonic is now being caught by Induced, subject has been used, flash coming in, and the Chomp ends up killing Symphonic as well. A quick 2-kill reply over to Clown Gaming.
Yeah, and this is just not how you wanted it. And Present having to summon the Herald mid because it's just about to expire. Easton likely going to be able to stop this Herald before it can get anything. So that whole rotation only netted you the 25 gold for killing it. And I'm going to end up needing to see.
Oh, hello. Be careful, my friend. This Lux is pretty on far. Already got the full lead completed at 12 minutes. Angry President is here though. Induce is coming in along with Hydra Shots to dive. Hello doesn't that quite get the kill though. Hello ends up flashing out. Angry President ends up getting the kill upon Hides in Shroud. The Binding has here, and then all of it comes out from Norlis as well. They're trying to give the kill over to the Ash, and they do get it with the volley. Lovable now trying to chase C, get kills down here. It's not quite going to work out. That was a great response. Gold is now pretty darn even. How Hello survived that was pretty darn well done. Note to self, kids, always buy T2 boots early. That movement speed is OP.
Yeah, and DZG able to do something before I'm even able to mention it. I was going to talk about how they needed to try and kill this Lux, as that's where all of Clown Gaming's gold is. If they can't pressure this Lux...
Oh, Lovable again getting caught out by Induce. The Gravity Field does end up getting him stunned, though. Chaos Storm is not quite put down yet. Induced is down to 1 HP, so this probably is going to be a somewhat of a free Drake over to DZG. These Drakes end up doing quite a lot of damage, though. Symphonic did get tagged up with the body more from Feathers and Fur. Lovable also down here as well to try and keep things a little bit safe. Angry President did have the back, though. They just gave this Drake up for 3, which I think it looked like they were okay doing because the rest of the team's backed up. But uncharacteristically, I don't know why they would have given up second Drake when they had prior one early.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. Maybe they felt like they didn't have the crucial ultimates, or that Present really needed it back for that Divine Thunder. Or to get that reset in with the Dragon Up, giving it over, and I'm struggling trying to find exactly why they did that. Because maybe if they just felt like they didn't have the important ults in the Ash and the Nautilus. Lovable.
It was in a wee bit of trouble. They get tagged by Feathers and Fur. Gravity Storm ends up coming. Gravity Field, ends up coming down. Hides and Shroud is basically trying almost 20 Lovable to say, hey, come at me, bro, because this Victor is really far behind. It is a Victor, so it will eventually be a problem. It just needs one good team fight, get a couple kills onto a Victor, and ends up being terribly scary. We do see a bit of a contention going up top lane, though. Oh, here we go. Call of the Forger coming in onto Eastern. Most importantly, my guy is in a bounce house, bro. Kills ends up going down, so does Eastern. They're looking at Induce coming through as well. Enchanted Crystal does miss on the side from Hello. Quick 2 kills over to DZG, and this Rift Herald is now theirs as well.
Yeah, and as much as I want to be a fangirl for DZG and say how good they played that's more on the side of Clown Gaming for picking a fight with your Lilia and your Leona in Bot River. You know that's at least going to be a 3v3, and you still opt to do it.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I think is nice on DZG. They're trying to be as proactive as they can. This tower is going to still take chunked out. Sleep comes in from the Father's Feathers and 4 is caught up, though. The Solar Flare from Hides and Shroud goes whiffing. My guy hit them goalposts, bro. And nothing ends up coming out of there apart from the Rift Herald taking a sizable chunk out of mid tower.
Yeah, Rift Herald taking a big chunk out of mid tower, and they do end up pulling the Victor ult, but that's not really one of the crucial ults on DZG. It is nice having in your team fights, but it's not something that you necessarily are abandoning fights if you don't have. And Lovable backing finally getting his first mythic. I'm interested in seeing Lovable. It's likely sitting on a lot of gold because he's still sitting on Tiamat, tier 2 boots, Sheen, and a longsword. And I don't see how he can be behind Angry present this far whenever he's up 23 CS.
True, 23 CS is one side, but also if you look on the other, on Angry President, my guy's 2-0-3 right now. This recon is going to hurt. But I do believe you, when Induced does in the back end, I would imagine a full item is at least completed there. This Trundle is in a serious role. Biggest thing, though, is a lot of this game is kind of on Easton's shoulder for the time being. Easton is going to have to buy as much... to get the center as scaled up as possible, because he's done a ton of damage so far. But Senna still needs time to scale. We need kills to get to that 30-35 minute mark in order to then be able to make it happen. We see Easton here just sitting, lovable. Oh, just ends up missing the clip. That tagged his butt hairs, bro. My guy was clenching them cheeks. If he got hit, my guy was dead.
Symphonic stepping up.
Yeah, he's walking up to hiding shrouds here. They kind of want this. Oh, ends up taking him back into his own jungle though. Walking away, which is what you want to do. You don't want to fight.
Really good buffer from Symphonic, buffering the Leona engage, but I don't think Symphonic should have lived that. Oh, we have another one.
Bind coming through Symphonic twice. Oh, I think you're in a wee bit of trouble, my friend. Symphonic is still alive for much longer than we thought. That kill does go over to Induce, though. 5-man mid, they actually sent a lot of that and may want to crack this mid tower out here. A bowling ball just misses by hello. But with this mid tower going around, this allows Easton to be free and be able to roam the map. You're able to send Easton into a side lane, especially with TP up, both him and Feathers with Fur. They're giving up a lot here by backing. Hello had to back. And this may be a second tower going down. ICG is on the flank. Cold Fortune going in. Angry Present goes going with the Clone Cyclone as well. Ends up getting 1 kill. Ends up getting 2 kills. Still going forward. ICG is a man possessed. He's like, I am a god, brother. A kill goes over to Lovable as well. So while DZG do lose 1 and a bit towers, they do also get 3 return kills onto them as well. Most importantly, Lovable got 2 kills from that. Ends up putting him right back into this game, and DZG may potentially end up taking a tower here on their own end. But there's a third, there's them getting knocked up. Oh my god, bro, you are on the dinner plate tonight. Man wants veal for some munchies. 3 calls over to DZG as well as a mid tower as well.
Yeah, and as you said earlier in the game, all it requires for this Victor to be back in the game is just 1 lucky team fight, and I think DZG just got that. They are likely going to be able to secure this dragon unless Clown Gaming looks like they're going to be trying to contest it, knowing DZG is missing a lot of major ult.
Yeah, oh, Solarflare also just barely tags Lovable as well, though. The Pillar also just slightly coming on the wrong side. We see Easter coming in from the other side. This Lux is going to hurt. Lovable ends up staying alive, though, as well as Hello as well. ICG is still alive, is still not dead. My guy is still going. This one just doesn't die. Symphonic is doing his best to keep Easton at bay. Lovable having to run away here because you are not going to be able to get away from this Trundle, my friend. Massive shutdown going over to the Trundle, and this is where Symphonic also dies. A clean sweep. Even though kills ended up going down, a 5-for-1 in favor of Clown Gaming Fools, and this Drake is going to them as well.
Yeah, Cloud Gaming gonna be able to put themselves onto Soul Point as long as Easton doesn't accidentally die by a straight Dragon Auto, and that may just be able to be chalked up on DZG overstaying their welcome, not realizing how ultimate reliant their team comp and team fights are. They were missing every major ultimate. The only one they actually got to use was the Nautilus, and that's not a huge ultimate when you break down fights and you need damage.
Yeah, that's such a massive gold swing that at one point it was in favor of DCG, and then it swung over back into Clown. This game is very, very tight, and like we said at the beginning, it is week 1. Both teams are going to kind of be swinging haymakers and see what ends up hitting, though. Let's look on items on both sides. You were right. Once Induce back, Induce ended up getting 2 full items. That's a Thornmail that comes through as well. Whereas on the side of Hello did end up going Kraken and is going to go PD second here as well, which is great because you'll be able to at least shred Induce a little bit further as well. And that allows you to get really, really good kiting abilities. Victor now has 3 kills. Lovable. Remember what we said. Just needed 1 or 2 good team fights to get some gold back in. And we see Induce trying to protect this top lane. Easton is here as well. I think DZG may want to commit to this tower. It's more or less worth money. Easton's saying, nah, brother. This tower is mine. Straight Lord of the Rings 2 towers right here. You got to send all of Isengard if you want this.
Yeah, and
taking mid lane.
Unless we just have some poking thrown around, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know exactly what kills is building, because you have the Noon Quiver, but you also have an additional Serrated Dirk, and I don't know any mythic, yet alone any item that uses both of those components.
My thought is that kills will probably end up going for the Kraken and then the Collector. Buying a Serrated Dirk just as a straight up item is an extremely gold efficient point, especially being on center. It does put back your Mythic by a fair amount of time, but at the same time, you're also able to get straight up raw damage by having lethality as well. The Emerald Glaive, yes, it's a very good first item, but at the same time, it does put away a lot of her strong scaling capabilities, because once you get the Kraken as well as that Collector, assuming the Collector's second item completed, it'll be about 30-32 minutes. So we won't see this center come online for still a fair bit longer.
Yeah, and DZG's now put on a huge timer. Symphonic engaging here.
Coming right in, ends up taking the tower as well, but nothing ends up pretty much coming out. Oh, ICG takes the grub. My froggy, bro. You ain't getting that, mate.
Yeah, that was a really good cleanse on the side of kills, waiting for the Astral to land.
Symphonic did get caught though. Induce is still coming in. The subjugate has not been burned out. Final spot coming up. Oh my god. This Lux is gonna hurt. And then the center arc comes through, so they got poked for days. I feel like that. They're like, I can hit you from anywhere across the map though. One thing though, notice this. Cloud Gaming did put a lot of resources mid, but look what's going on top lane. Lovable has just been farming. This Victor is about to back, probably ends up picking up his second item here, and ends up getting the Zhonya's, which is the protection that he needed, but is now right back into this game.
Yeah, Level's back into this game, and you see ICG now is hit level 14. It's gonna start being able to hand out these ornaments, and you're ideally hoping for maybe one more level on this orange, trying to get an additional thing sent out for this next dragon fight in a minute 20 seconds.
Yeah, I think that one thing we want to look at is the next fight with Drake coming up in the next minute 18. If you're the side of Cloud Gaming, you don't want to give this up. This is free soul. But if you're the side of DZG, you have to think, okay, Lovable's actually pretty darn strong now. We can potentially make this happen. Easton, as strong as he is, still has a chance to get one tap because has no defensive items, whereas Lovable does have the Zhonya's. Second item being completed for Hello as well. Kraken has been completed for kills. Interesting, the Serrated Deck was sold to be able to complete that crime. As you see, Induce trying to fight ICG here. Subjugate has been used. They're really trying to get this out though. Kills is in a bit of a bad place, my friend. You don't want to get caught up there by the Molison. Bonnet going in. Kills ends up going down. Easton will get tagged up by the Orn Ultimate as well. Hence having to flash out to be able to get away. Gonna survive with 1 HP. Lovable's like, no, it's my turn, bro. You wrecked me in lane, I'm gonna wreck you in game. Drake should be free for DZG coming for the next 28 seconds. However, saying that kills, I'm very confused as to why he ended up going that way, knowing that the Symphonic was somewhat near around. Saying that had no movement speed at the time because it didn't have shoes. A lot of this ultimates were burned on the side of DZG, so no ultimate for 4 of the 5 champions. The only person left with it is Angry Present. Feathers and Fur has just been trying to take top tower though to try and make a response for something, but this Drake should be free for DZG.
Yeah, and as Scrappy says, we actually may still have a response from Cloud Gaming.
This is coming in. It's going to be contested though. Induce might want to flash steal this, but the Trump as well ends up stealing it. We have a soul over to Clown Gaming. Fight ends up continuing though. Angry Predator is the only one with the ult there coming through. Hello has come back into the game. Ends up getting 1 kill over to Induce. Second kill coming over to Hello as well. They might want to keep chasing. Easton is caught by the Ash passive here. Oh, and Angry President barely being kept alive while all of this was happening though. Triple kill over to Hello, but top lane is slowly being chunked out. It was not worth it because Soul still went over to Clown Gaming, but the ensuing fight went over to DZG, and they've also lost. They lost 2 towers and Soul, trading it for 4, I believe, in that sense.
Yeah, and that fight, you won the initial one, but you just lost the re-engage from Clown Gaming, going for that Miracle Steal that ended up working out. And what I was gonna talk about was after this, it just got harder for Clown Gaming, but now they're still very much on the driver's seat and securing their future in the sake of this game against a scaling comp.
Yeah, I think one thing to note is that even though Soul is on the side of Clown Gaming, and people say, oh, the gold is still pretty darn even, don't let that fool you. The amount of stats that you get from any Soul, and particularly Infernal, it's usually hiding about 1,500 to 2,000 gold. So this game is still definitely in the favor of Clown Gaming. But as we've seen from DZG, like, they seem to have the better team comp fight. Hello just being able to slow everyone down, and going IE Ash third item is going to be incredibly strong for this Ash to be able to scale up pretty heavily as well. Lovable just shutting out damages. As you see, Eastern now starting to build towards the stopwatch. However, Hiding Shot does get caught by Symphonica. Great hook. Ultimate coming in from Enshroud, so doesn't end up quite getting it. And this could potentially be a free Baron over to DZG. They thought about it for a moment. Now heavily started. This team dies real quick because of the Wukong and the Ashes as well. TP coming in from Lovable. However, Feathers of Fire is also coming. Ultimate coming out from the Ornn. Lovable ends up shredding this Lilia. However, the Eastern comes out, is not able to quite get a kill, but the kill goes over 2 kills. However, with this big old team of command, Hello is about to die. The fight is turning over in favor of Clown Gaming. Now DZG may have to pack up and leave a bit here because the center has started to scale quite heavily. How Induced has not died yet, it's still beyond me. Pillar will be coming up fairly soon though, so if ICG or Lovable is picked up on the wrong side, this thing is going down pretty darn quick. However, great stuff on the side of Clown Gaming, not only to prevent the Baron going through, but also getting 3 kills in the process.
Yeah, and I was gonna say that it was a decent idea for DCG, but
Lovable's going in though, ends up getting the kill onto Feathers, and Foot Induced is hit. Oh, Flash coming out from Lovable as well. Zhonya's coming out as well. ICG may want to leave because Lovable ends up going to be down here. ICG will end up going down, and I think we have got to the point where this center is starting to scale. We did say when it hits 32 minutes is when kills will be a bit of a problem, and with this Infernal Soul coming through, was able to get 2 kills in the last team fight as well. Center really starting to come up strong here.
Yeah, and as good as the center is, one thing that's been happening in these past fights is Inducing just running amok in the backline, just chewing through the backline and the front line of DZG. Nobody able to survive that damage. So now if you're DZG, you need to be hoping that you can either burst down this Trundle or somehow survive it.
Yeah, Induced going in on Symphonic as well. The rest of the team is trying to follow up. Symphonic is really forced to ban the Flash. You can tell he did not want to do that. Agreed with you though. Induced is just running at this backline. Lovable and Hello really have to sit back, or else it just gets very, very difficult for them to be able to shut out any damage. Baron being started out, though, this thing is not going down terribly quickly. Can't give me a thought twice about this, and he thought, you know what? We don't want to coin flip this, like DCG coin flip the Dragon Play. We're just going to walk away here.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're DZG, you're kind of feeling a little lost because yes, you're the scaling comp, but it feels like you should have scaled by now, and you should be winning, and you just never got any major objectives utilized in the early game to buy you time. You now are facing into a Soul, Elders on minute 30. This is the very last fight, and you're just gonna have to hope what you have is enough.
Yeah, I want to see what kills ends up picking up on this back, though. Let's pick up Boots as well as the Zeal and the Dagger as well, assuming this will be an RFC. Third item. Number of stacks wise, this guy must be at the 100 stack mark, being that we are at the 30 minute mark. The Senate is going to be a problem to deal with. However, Hello also has the IE completed as well. Lovable has ended up finishing off the voice up. It's actually ahead of items compared to Eastern. Induced is running at Hello and ICG with the final spark coming out from the Lux. E misses from the Leona, doesn't quite work. Induced has to walk away. The Subjugate burn for not much gain there. And DZG didn't end up burning anything. Yeah, look at this. Angry President is on the side here. They can potentially make something happen then. Ends up going in upon the Trundle. And here goes Angry President with the Cyclone going in, knocking up everybody. Eastern is about to stay alive. However, kills ends up staying alive. The Lovable has killed Hide in Shrouds. This center is not long for the world. Kill goes over to ICGE there as well. That was a huge fight. Exactly what they did. And now collectively, DGG is saying, you know what, we're going to try this again. We're going to go back to Baron. However, we saw what happened last time they ended up going. Granted, it's now a 5v3. Eastern still has a chance to be able to go in. Induced has already got 1 steal, although I don't see it happening now, especially with Elder coming up in 10 seconds. I'm not sure if they'll be able to get back down there in time. They only have 6 seconds, and they are going to shred through this Elder coming up soon.
I think they will have enough time because Induced had to go back and heal, and by the time he gets onto this Elder, he's gonna DZG's gonna have followed suit. So I really like the idea of not risking a coin flip on the Elder. You'd much rather coin flip Baron and accidentally give that over than Elder. Yes, you would end up giving the other if you don't, or if you die for it. But now DZG has some of their major ults coming back up, and looking for this next big fight. I think the game gets decided right here.
Yeah, I think so too. I think once Zelda goes out, Indus, so careful with Symphonic running around. Symphonic has got caught again, but Indus is really starting to come out there. Symphonic is going to end up going out. Indus ends up getting killed there. Huge solar flare coming down onto Hello. Hello needs to get out. Has Flash just about to come up, but doesn't quite get it. Indus ends up getting the double kill. Do I see a Penta on your storyline, my friend? Blasting Go comes out, does end up saving both Lovable and Angry President. You have to think that this should be a free final Drake over to Clown Gaming. I don't think Angry President's really going to attempt to try and go for a steal here, because if he ends up dying, the game just ends up being over there. At least now they have a potential chance to just turtle. This game has been back and forth, and I've absolutely loved it. One team fight wins here, one team fight over there. Clown Gaming still holding the lead, though.
It's definitely been very intense, very back and forth. And in that fight, it's a story that fight goes wrong for the story that we've seen repeated a couple times in this game. Is Symphonic is not with his team, is not calling people over for him to be safe, and gets caught before a major objective, and DZG just has to say, well, we can't fight it 4v5 anymore, and now they're just kind of screwed.
I think if you're on the side of DZG right now, you have to think, you know what, we have to group as 5. We have to sit back, use what's left of our Baron buff, which really isn't very long left now, and wait for this final Drake to be able to size off. Because if you're on the side of Clown, you think, you know what, we have that execution power. While they have Baron buff minions, can we potentially take up something from here as well? Kills has finished off the RFC. I would imagine the next item would either be an IE or a Rage Blade, to be honest with you. However, they are going to potentially make a siege upon this bot lane here. The Feathers and Fur will be pushing up the top lane. This Lilia, haven't really seen too much of Feathers and Fur. It's got a few things off in the early game, but has quietly been farming up a Storm in the lane, which no one else is, frankly, in, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and one thing I really want to see is the DZG sitting back and wave clearing and just trying to avoid these fights, because if you've barely been winning these fights in the past, you're definitely not going to have any chance of winning these against Elder. And you have the wave play options. You have 2-item Victor, in level 16. You have Ornn, you have Ashe. So you have some wave play options, and you just need to make sure you pick these fights smartly.
Yeah, just sit back and farm. Oh god, 2 people got binded by Eastern. They could potentially end up going to get Angry Peasants down to half HP and is still ticking. Feathers and Fur is rotating mid lane as well. They're going to try and crack out this mid inhibitor tower. Ends up going down. Clown Gaming are sensing blood in the water. And while they still do have Elder up, it will be timing out soon. Symphonic step forward, Induce ends up going forward onto the Snoller Zone. Symphonic does end up going out. This inhibitor will be going down. I imagine they're going to rotate top lane here as well. Symphonic, you need to go back to the tower, my friend! Where do you go? There's nowhere for you to go. The double ultis coming through from Eastern and kills. They end up going forward though. Leona ends up dying. Call of the Forge God does come from ICGE though. Feathers and Fur is in a wee bit of a big Enchanted Crystal comes through. Does end up getting a pick off onto the Lilia. That was a great pick onto Symphonic because there was nowhere left he could have gone. But a little bit too hasty on the side of Cloud Gaming as well, where they had the really strong chance to try and finish this game off.
Oh, too hasty, and just like this entire game's been, it's been back and forth, and you think Clown Gaming's just gonna end because they picked off Symphonic, but they used their Lux ult, the Senna ult, Leona goes in, doesn't have the team follow-up, and then DZG just swings right back and gets 2 kills of their own. You really, can flip a coin in these fights, and you're still likely gonna be right, because the secondary fight of these.
We did say at the beginning of the game that we love seeing Clown Gaming versus DZG. It's always good games, isn't it? It's always hype. There's always something excited about it. This is no different. However, saying that, Elder has fallen off for Clown Gaming, so we're going to be more or less back to a stalemate. If both teams... The biggest thing is this. Symphonic has to be with his team. I understand how he's trying to get vision, but he shouldn't be out by himself, because once he is essentially the pseudo frontline when ICGE is not there. And if Symphonic dies, there's very little to protect Hello and Lovable. Angry President, while Izzlewood Corner has the more Mammodius, is not going to stay alive for too much longer. If you want to get vision, my friend, end up walking with someone, either your jungle or your top laner with you, to try and get it. However, on the side of Clown Gaming, Hide and Shot, I swear, the supports are blood hungry this game. They just want to go forward. Ironshroud ended up going forward there, ends up inting on the tower and wasn't allowing Clown to be able to get the win off though. I do suspect next fight will be the last one. It is a 4v5, right? Well, will be a 4v5 in a moment because Feathers and Fur is just staying up in that top lane. Has 4 items completed. I believe Clown is just trying to play the game where they can just match up waves since the mid and top inhibitor are down. But as the ultimate ends up coming through from the Lux, Induce does end up getting out. The Ironshroud might get a little bit caught here. One of the Fortune comes and gets you up. What Easton gets something into the Zhonya's off as well. Induce is about to die. Doesn't end up dying just yet though. It's Symphonic going down. However, Easton and kills also go down as well as Induce. This game may end up being over. The kill fourth goes over to ICGE. But look at your towers, DZG. Your base is gonna be in tatters. That was a great fight, but they can't get anything else off it because of the fact they have to defend their base. One Nexus tower goes down. You have a humongous wave of super minions here. This second tower may not be long for the world. It's going to be down to about 1/3 HP. Now, if you're from the side of DZG, you want to try and push mid and top out as you can. Since Elder is up in a minute, the rest of the team is on for another 25 seconds. Do you risk a Baron flip here? Or do you risk saying, you know what, we want to just wait and fight for the last Elder Dragon?
I think the thing is, in the head-to-head, Baron buff versus Elder buff, Elder buff team's gonna win that, especially if you take Baron now and you lose the fight at Elder, because Elder is just so much more useful on either of these teams wanting to pick these fights. And I don't necessarily like calling out certain people, but I think if Feathers and Fur didn't go to that top lane and just grouped all 5 people down with Clown Gaming in that bot lane, that would have been a very easily won fight. But by the time he TP'd, the fight had already been lost because of people's response on DZG.
Speaking of which, TP coming in mid lane here. The Feathers and Fur getting chunked out to 1 HP. Lovable isn't going to be able to get up right now as well. Also coming in from Call of the Fortune. There's stuff going on everywhere here. 2 go down from the side of Clown Gaming. 3 may be on the line with Induced. If they end up taking this kill, you have to think Elder is theirs and then potentially the game is over. But look, top lane. The minions are still pushing in. Lovable will end up trying to push out to get this. This should be a free Elder over to DZG. That was a huge fight. You have to think with this tower going down, they don't have any wave to push out. Do they just go bot and trying to push that wave out? Or do they say, you know what, jungler's down for another 37 seconds, we're going straight to Baron, lads.
We're trying to double up on these late game buffs. You have Lovable clearing out the waves, the mid inhibitors respawning, so no more supers to worry about. And this should be a clean Baron and Elder for DZG. And I'm hesitant to say it because of how back and forth this game's been, but
I know what you're saying.
But it looks like they finally have gotten some of the scaling that they've been begging for.
Hold on, Easton. Oh, I was so hoping for a final spot there. I just wanted to see it. So if you're on the side of DZG, your mid and top lane inhibitor should be up soon. I would imagine that you'd send ICGE top and the rest down mid. Both buffs are still available. You want to make use of this. Mid inhibitor has spawned. Top should spawn in the next 5 to 10 seconds as well. No, they're just beelining it down mid lane. All 5 of them NA ramming it right now.
Yeah, and real quick, before this fight ends up breaking out, I'm going to disagree with you. I'm going to say you do this on DZG. You just run 5 mid, because that's how you've been winning fights. You've been having the Ornn tank a boatload of damage. You've been having all these different forms of engage, and Cloud Gaming hasn't been able to respond to it. And all you have to do is just make sure all your members are there. You can't wait for a TP because your team dies before that even completes.
Flash forward, going from Symphonic, ends up getting the pickup on 2 kills. Kills is about to go down, ends up dying. The Elder Jack ends up taking the kill. The Feathers and Fur also ends up going down. Mid lane tower does go down as well. That was a great flash hook from Symphonic. My guy had no fear. Mid lane tower ends up going down. Inhibitor is not going to be long for this world. DZG does smell blood in the water here. It is 3-man strong on the side of Clown Gaming to try and hold this up. Easton has been such a carry throughout this game. He's going to have to try and hold this wave out as well. They do have 1 single cannon minion slowly chunking down upon this 1 Nexus tower. Easton will get a fair bit of damage on it. Symphonic is getting fairly low, but I'm sure he will not mind giving his life if it means they can get the full win here, though. Kills is up in 15 seconds rather than Fur in 26. They're going to push to end the game here, though. Induce does end up getting knocked up, ends up dying. The game will be going over to DZG. There goes Ironshroud. Easton, the last man left, did all he could, but game 1 going over to DZG. That was a hell of a slobber knocker.
an amazing game, and like as we kind of wind down from this game with DZG coming out with the win, they're scaling over, running over Cloud Gaming at the very last two fights. You kind of have the one major takeaway if you're either team. There's a lot to work on and there's a lot you can pick on. If you're Clown Gaming, you realize you had DZG on their heels about to fall over, and it was just a couple mistakes that led to DZG buying enough time and finally letting Lovable become the monster that he was in these team fights. And if you're on the side of DZG, you're letting out a huge sigh of relief because there were a lot of points that you should have lost this game, but because of Clown Gaming's mistakes, you were able to successfully buy enough time and wait. And DZG can say, okay, how do we make sure we can punish those mistakes? And if you're Clown Gaming, you can say, okay, how do we better punish their mistakes or clean up one or two of the mistakes that we made? And this would have been an entirely different game.
Speaking of, Victor, my G did 52,500 damage. That's like 1,200 damage a minute. Especially after falling behind when 0-3 in lane, because Induce and Easton were just consistently on top of this guy. If that's game one, I really cannot wait to start game two. Join us in a few minutes, folks, while we end up taking a quick break. But don't go anywhere, because if game two is anything like game one, you don't want to miss it.
I wanna be with you. If that's the last thing that I could do, I wanna be with you. If that's the last thing that I could do.
Cause those hands and lights can't stop me. I just hold on for dear life. Yeah, I can't give up this feeling that I get
like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how. I see danger in us. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna let it rain. Tonight, we gonna let it rain. Tonight, we gonna let it rain. Just like the sunrise, we gonna let it rain.
All right, welcome back everyone to Game 2 of DZG Elysium versus Clown Gaming Fools. If you missed Game 1, shame on you. That was a banger. I'm really hoping for just as good of a banger Game 2. DZG does still end up banning the Cho'Gath, now on blue side as well. If I'm on both sides, there wasn't anything, with the exception of potentially Easton's Lux, there was nothing really on both sides that made me think, you know what, this stuff is scary and I don't want to see it again. As we see Clown Gaming banning the Viego though.
Yeah, the East Lux would be the biggest change I would make if I were Elysium trying to decide what to change from Game 1 to Game 2. And if you're on the Cloud Gaming side of Cloud Gaming Fools, you may ban the Ornn in... Well, it would have to be in the first round because of how early DCG picked it last time. But you may ban the Ornn, kind of saying, ICG, I don't think you can play anything else. And daring him, seeing if he is an Ornn one trick or if he can perform just as well on these other picks.
That might be the first pick coming in for Elysium if it ends up staying up. Swain being banned again by Clownful Gaming, just like in Game 1. Does Elysium end up picking the Ornn B1 just to give ICG the comfort to be able to play into down anything? Because early, while it did struggle a tiny bit against Feathers and Fur, as we all know, Ornn, once you get a few items under your belt, guy becomes very difficult to kill. Alawi being banned on the side of Elysium as well.
Yeah, and similar bans up until not knowing what this last ban from Clown Gaming is. I am willing to hedge my bets and say Elysium is not gonna first pick the Ornn just because, if I remember right, ICG has a few good answers to that Ornn pick in his champion pool, at least based on the ranked games. And you see Wukong being taken away, so Clown Gaming paying their respect to Angry Present.
I think the Wukong was really good on Angry Present. Both Induced and Angry Present had great early game. Induced had a bit more of a larger impact early, but both looked really, really good. Now, if you're on the side of Elysium, you have a few power picks here. Trundle is arguably going to be the biggest thing because we saw how good Induced is with it. The Ornn is also up as well. Lux has stayed open, so I'm sure they're not really too bad about it. Talia coming in, B1, arguably the best champion in the game right now. This is going into Lovable's hands, most likely. Unless they end up putting it on Angry Present's hands.
Yeah, Angry Present doesn't have a lot of games on it. Doesn't mean they can't send it to the jungle, but at least I would be willing to put a little bit of money on the fact that this is going to Lovable. And as you mentioned, I didn't really think about the takeaway of Trundle because Induce did a lot of damage to DZG on that. Because he was the reason that Cloud Gaming won multiple fights. Ornn being taken away by Cloud Gaming. So let's hope that ICG has those answers that they were planning and expected this to come in.
It may force DCG to pick up the Trundle here as well. Because Trundle is pretty... Obviously, you end up stealing the stats from the Ornn. And Induce looked really good on the Trundle in the first game. Just literally camped Easton's lane. It's made Lovable's life really, really difficult here, though. I would assume this Talia is going mid lane. I don't imagine it going anywhere else, to be honest with you. And before I get Giga Chad right now. Yo, the Kale! That's really, really big. So this means that Clown Gaming is on a real big death timer now. You don't end this game within 30 minutes, this game's over.
And once again, like, DZG, as you said, is saying, okay, we will sit back, roll with the punches, and have so many more options later on.
Holy moly!
Just Donna locked in versus Lucian. And I am interested, and I was gonna say initially that Cloud Gaming didn't take the trundle and just kind of dare ICG into picking the orange, saying that you won because of a fluke. But now this has not panned out the way I would have assumed this would go.
This is actually really big because Lucianami, I don't care what anyone says, Giga strong bot lane. Like, whatever Tristana ends up, or whatever Symphonic ends up pairing to pair or with Hello, this will be a tough lane to play out. Assuming the Kale is going to go top lane to ICG, and then Talia still technically can be flexed between Lovable and Angry Present. We do see a lot more Talia presence in the mid lane. Where they are starting to pinch down Symphonic's champion pool, though, with the Nautilus ban. My thought is they may try to ban out of the Leona as well, force him onto something that may still be engaging because that is still his playstyle, but maybe not something that will be as much of a comfort on him. Corky ban coming through, trying to pinch down Eastern's champion pool a little bit more. The Lux is still up, I've just noticed. So maybe Elysium is waiting to see if Cloud Gaming ends up picking the Lux for Eastern, at which point determining who ends up going, whether it's the Kayle, Talia, or something else, to play into it. Further though, Cloud Gaming pinching down Symphonic Shampoo.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I would assume this is going to be a Lux ban here because you really don't want to be putting your Kayle against Lux. And Lux has a lot of wave clear that would force Talia to stay in lane and not utilizing her ult in the early to mid game. But we'll wait to see what this pans out to be. Alistar being the last ban from Clown Gaming. And
There it is.
yes, as I said, Lux, last ban from DZG, paying their respect to Easton, saying, hey, really good Lux, and we need to see you on something else.
Yeah, I think they also thought the same thing for Symphonic, because while he did get called out a few times and then got a couple of really good hooks. That flash hook at the end of the game was like, hey, my guy was committed to nailing something. I believe it was on kills, which ended up winning the game for them. Now here's the big thing for Clown Gaming, though. Let's see just assuming this will be the jungler, being the Lilia, who we piloted by Induced. If he was anywhere as effective on Lilia as he was on the Trundle, I'm expecting really good things to come out from this Lilia. Now DZG shows their hand. Where does this Talia end up going? I'm going to assume this Kayle goes top lane, just because Kayle into Ornn is just a really boring matchup. And then once you hit 6, you just be able to just trade and farm. Yes, ornaments come in and make him a wee bit and the team a wee bit stronger, but the quicker you get to 16, the better. Yo, let me see. Yes! The big titty man Taric is out. Let's go.
During Pride Month, nonetheless, Taric being locked in for Symphonic. And, I was kind of hoping it, but with how these games went, I did not want to say anything before we saw it. Symphonic's gotten quite a few games in on Taric recently. Been trying to improve. Let's see if that improvement pays off and is able to buy time against the Ushinami. Gwen locked in. That is, I'm gonna assume that's a Gwen jungle, but still a chance for some shenanigans of how Elysium moves around the roster.
Yo, I'll bet you 5 DZG bucks that that's a Gwen top lane and a Talia jungle with Kayle in the mid lane. That's genuinely what I think is, because yes, Gwen can go into the jungle as well. However, Gwen into Ornn is she just shreds him. No pun intended. Syndra being picked up here for Eastern. This is really good for the Syndra here, because if Lovable ends up taking the Kayle mid, Kale's just not going to have a fun time farming. Especially having a Lilia nearby, which is able to get plenty of movement speed. This is going to be really difficult for the Kayle, no matter in what lane she's in, to be able to make at least through levels through 11 very, very difficult.
Yeah, my assumption is Kale's going to be going top against the Ornn because you're both kind of Kale wants to just shake hands and scale. Ornn defaults to that, so you're forcing Ornn to play the way he doesn't want to play. He has to play hyper aggressive early. Now, Ornn is everything. Ornn is early game, mid game, late game. He can do just about anything. But it's a lot easier to play Kayle into Ornn than it is to play Kayle into Syndra. Mm-hmm. And that's where I'm going to be assuming we see ICG taking this Kayle top lane against the Ornn, leaving this Talia versus Syndra and Lilia versus Gwen in the jungle.
I'm very excited to see which end up going there, because until we finish off Champ Select, we won't really know. I do want to throw something out there, is that Clown Gaming's comp looks a lot easier to execute though. Kills and Shroud, they did decently fine game one. Having an Elysium Army is just a giga aggro lane. They will just burst the hell out of Hello. Even Ataric early is not the strongest of champions health-wise, and it is extremely mana hungry. So Symphonic will have to be fairly early there, fairly careful there as well though. Comp-wise though, who do you like?
As you said, ease of execution on Clown Gaming. I think if we're looking at champions alone, I would want to lean towards Elysium, but with what seemed to be a little bit of a struggle in that first game, I'm gonna have to lean to Clown Gaming's ease of execution coming out on top, because on the side of Elysium, you kind of are having to survive the first engage of the Syndra, the Ornn, the Nami, Talia, and then re-engage after your Taric ult subsided and you have Kayle free-firing on the front line.
I agree with that. I think the tables is kind of flipped though, because last game Elysium was the one that had the scaling comp, but it was very easy to execute. However, Clown Gaming, while it's not the biggest scaling comp, it's still significantly easier to execute over the DZG because there's multiple factors. Like Talia, it's obviously one of the best champions in the game right now. Kayle is a ticking time bomb. Taric is usually a coin flip, can end up really changing the turn of a tide. Gwen, there's just a lot of late game scaling on the side of Elysium. But as we saw in the last game, they had champions that could have weathered the storm. Champions like Ashe, like Ornn, like Wukong, which allowed the Victor to get there. I would be hazardous to say that they can't play the early game this game like they played the early game last game, because if they do, Lucian just runs away with it. Syndra just runs away with it, and you'll never be able to kill this Ornn.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you that DZG needs to clean up the early game if they want this comp to work out. This comp is not the one that can really play from behind at any point until like 45 minutes, where you have multiple level 16s and 18s. And it's all going to hedge on this bot lane if Tristana Taric can survive, because fundamentally the only early game we're really seeing in this game is the Lucian Nami. And if Clown Gaming can have the Lucian Nami start snowballing their lane, it can start bleeding over into these other lanes that DCG may not be able to answer too fast enough.
Yeah, that's going to be the big thing. I think the game, we'll have a very good idea how this game is going to turn out by the time laning phase is done. Because if the game is relatively even, okay, there's still a chance for DZG, but the moment they start falling behind, it gets incredibly difficult for them to say, you know what, we can still win this. Personally, I'd love to see 3 games. 3 games of game 1 would be absolutely epic.
Yeah,
So,
I'm sure production's not going to necessarily be the biggest fan of 3 40-plus minute games, but it definitely would be interesting if we end up going that way.
Well, while we wait for everyone to get into game, one way to give us energy going into game 2 is going to be with our new partnership. We're proud to announce that we have partnered with W, a lovely little energy drink company that you get it in powdered form, similar to a pre-workout shake, but not as much caffeine. We'll throw the link up in Twitch chat if you wish to have a look. It'll greatly support all of us here at DZG. However, now that we're waiting to get into game, we're going to take a quick spectator delay break. We'll be back in a few minutes to see game 2 pan out.
to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe trying to protect your soul. I want you to come over. I wish that you would come and give me something to prove. Won't you pull me closer? I think that I'm obsessed with everything that you do. I'm waiting, trying to be patient. You look like a painting. It's so frustrating. I hate it, yeah. I probably shouldn't say this. I probably should erase it. I probably shouldn't say this. I wanna be with you. If that's the last thing that I could do, I wanna be with you. If that's the last thing that I could do, call me a fan. I'm living, give me your hand. I'm in it, yeah. I wanna be with you. If that's the last thing that I could do. We've been making magic, and sometimes I get nervous, but too good to believe. I don't know how it happened, but baby, I'm ecstatic that you're sticking with me. I'm waiting, trying to be patient. You look like a painting. It's so frustrating. I hate it, yeah. I probably shouldn't say this. I probably should erase it. I probably shouldn't say this. I wanna be with you. If that's the last thing that I could do, I wanna be with you. If that's the last thing that I could do, call me a fan. I'm living, give me your hand. I'm in it, yeah. I wanna be with you. If that's the last thing that I could do. I wanna be with you. If that's the last thing that I could do, I wanna be with you. If that's the last thing that I could do.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Game 2 of DZG versus Clown Gaming. We're in for a banger if Game 1 had anything to do with it. One thing I want to throw out here, Lovable taking the Gwen mid into Eastern, Angry President taking the Talia jungle, ICGE taking the KO top. This is a ticking time bomb if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, a interesting way for them to do it, to pan out with their champion select. Not how a lot of us would have assumed. One thing that I've noticed is Feather taking the unsealed spellbook with TP as the base spell, summon a spell, kind of hoping to use some of maybe the combat spells to kill ICG here early on, and hopefully maybe use Smite later on in these team fights to better secure these objectives.
Yeah, and also Adu's taking Dark Harvest on the Lily as well. So if it's anything like Game 1, my guy's going to be in every lane and trying to make a difference. So we do see Angry Peasant starting up on the top side. So Blue going over to the Lilia, whereas Induced is starting up bot lane here. Similar to Game 1, Hello and Symphonic are going to be in lane. Oh, they're not showing just yet, though. So we'll still keep Clown Gaming guessing as to where Angry President would have been starting. So goes to both sides. Orn was also waiting quite a while to be able before getting into lane. So not quite knowing exactly where the junglers have started just yet, though. I imagine bot lane, if you are the side of Clown Gaming, you want to be hyper aggro here. As you see CG Kills dashing forward with the Lucian to get as much damage off you can with the PTA as well as the Electrocute from Hiding Shrouds.
Yeah, Clown Gaming's bot lane here playing hyper aggressive because that's what they need to do. They are the rock for this early game. I am honestly a little disappointed seeing Induce pathing up towards top. I understand you need to shut down this Kale, but your early game is reliant on this Nami Lucian, and fundamentally you're still ganking an Ornn.
Mm-hmm.
Kale or not, you're still ganking an Ornn who, until he has all 3 spells, doesn't have a whole lot to offer, and only has that like 1 or 2 cycles of that.
Imagine it'd be quite difficult as you see Lovable and Easton again trading early on, just like they did last game. I'd imagine ICG is going to be under his tower most times. So, if Reduced is planned to go up here, like, you have to spend a lot of time to potentially die the KO early on, because these towers, I don't know about you guys, but they do a ton of damage now. Because we see Angry Present is taking Krugs on the bottom side. I don't believe the ward by Chickens, well, actually it did, because Chickens have been cleared, did actually catch Angry Present. So I do know he's around here somewhere. Lovable is slowly stepping up to Eastern. Eastern is decently low on mana now. However, this bot lane is going exactly how we thought it would, with the lane being pushed in against Hello and Symphonic. We do see Induce coming up mid lane. This is just looks just like game 1. Eastern misses the scatter of the week, and then the bowling ball is missed by Induced as well. My guy's got happy feet, bro. Lovable dodging 2 very, very important spells there to end up staying alive.
Much better turnout than in game 1, not even having to spend the Ghost here on the Gwen. And one thing I was going to point out is the Nami Lucian paying a lot of respect of what they need to do, playing this early game, going double combat summoners with the Exhaust and the Ignite. They really need to get something going here early if they don't want to get snowballed on over later. They still can function if they're even, but if this Tristana starts gaining a lead and Lucian Nami is not able to respond to it quick enough, this bot lane will get out of hand very quickly.
It's funny you say that because Tristana's actually up on CS. But Hello has actually more CS than kills, which is something we noticed last game as well, is that kills really struggled in farming against the Ashe. However, we see ICG gets knocked up here as well. Volleyball goes wide! And this is that 7-10 split as ICG is still able to stay alive, and nothing ends up coming much of that top lane. Very slight gank. As we see Angry Present slowly moving towards bot side, but going into the jungle of Clown Gaming as well. I do agree with you. I want to see Induce down here abusing this bot lane, because this is where the power is for them right now. Syndra also has a decent amount of power, but where all of this early game pressure is going to come from should be coming from kills and shrouds. And if we don't see Induce down here, well, you picked an aggressive bot lane to try and starve out Hello and Symphonic. You kind of want to put that into action. As you see Angry Present kind of getting close. He's going to run into Induce right now, though. A little fight happening right there. Angry Present misses the knockback. Going to end up walking towards Hello and Symphonic. Kills ends up dashing over the wall. Both end up, Eastern and Kills end up flashing to no avail. Nothing comes out of it on the side of Clown Gaming. That was 3 summoners burnt because Nami had to flash there as well at one point for nothing. And that puts a massive advantage over the DZG.
Yeah, and now if you're DZG, you are feeling so much better about your draft, because we were going into this game wondering how they were going to handle this early game. But now Lucian no flash, Nami no flash, Syndra no flash, and the only summoner spell spent on the side of DZG. Hold on.
Holy, Kill's getting a lot of damage onto Hello here, though. Ends up getting a bomb back. Induce is also mid with Easton. Feathers of First decided to join the club as well. Lovable's actually getting a lot of damage onto Easton. Ends up getting first blood here as well onto the Gwen. Gwen is immune, boys. Gwen is immune. Oh, potentially maybe looking to get 2. What on earth just happened? That was a 3v1. Lovable comes out with the kill already having burned Ghost. That was great.
Lovable paying a lot of respect, and I think he initially was going into that thinking, I'm gonna die, I may as well try and get one.
Oh, Bubble ends up knocking up Hello. The stun comes in from Symphonic, though. There's him saving him. Kills could have potentially shredded through Hello there because Electrocute was also still up. Ignite still up on the side of Hide Shroud as well, though. This is how we thought the bot lane would go. Knockup ends up hitting at Symphonic as well, though. They may just get the plate here and back off. Oh, they ended up getting it. Okay, there you go. So bot side pressure still very much so in the favor of Clown Gaming. CS is still even, though. Like, you would want Kills and Shine Shard to be getting further and further ahead. ICG is now hit 6, so has a wee bit of range about it instead of hitting with a fake baguette. Chose the wrong skin, my friend. as he gets knocked up by Feathers and Fur. Angry Peasant is up here as well. They're not quite sick, so is not able to wall off Feathers and Fur before having to back here, though. But almost has been caught going into the jungle while we see Eastern and Loverbull just slowly tickling each other here. I know we said we wanted to see a lot more pressure in bot side. Do you think we'll end up seeing it here, or is Induce just going to put his attention somewhere else?
I think Induce is gonna put his I think his mind's already set on shutting down this Kale, but the waves have never been set up in the way that he wants it in either top or bot. Whenever he ends up going top, Kale is under her tower, and it's almost impossible to gank a Kale, especially now that she's 6 under her tower, able to buy so much time. I don't care if you're an Ornner or not. At this point in the game, you're not able to tank tower for that long. And
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, for the side of bot lane, Kills and Shroud have been pushing underneath DZG's tower for so long that it's been the exact same story, just on the bot side. Every time Induce is down there, the wave's never in a chance for him to do something. So why it may feel like you are questioning Induce why he's not able to gank anywhere, and obviously there can be some questions for certain things. He just really hasn't had the chance to gank anywhere but mid, and I mean, we saw how that panned out the second go around.
I mean, Loverbull had his flipping rollers. He had his Air Forces on, bro. My guy was flying around everywhere. Eastern is moving bot side. That has been picked up by that control ward in the Tribe Rush. Induce is also bot side as well, playing with Angry Present. The knockback doesn't quit anything, though. Eastern may look for a scatter the week here. Ends up nailing it onto Angry Present. Bubble comes up. My guy's getting bounce house, bro. They don't end up getting anything after it. Loverbull is here, though, with Merc Treads. I don't think anything will happen out of this. Gwen is still ahead, 10 CS up on Eastern.
Yeah, and Gwen,
like you said, go ahead.
Gwen able to push in that mid wave before even responding. And, I mean, if Cloud Gaming is going to go for that bot lane dive, that was their best chance, because Symphonic just ding 6 as I was talking, and
Good
now it's going to be a whole lot harder to kill him.
Wall coming in from Angry President, no flash ends up coming out from Symphonic. Kills is in a lot of trouble, my friend. Ends up dashing over the wall. The Culling does get stopped by Angry President, though. They want to keep chasing this. This should be a kill going over to someone. Flash ends up coming forward from Angry Peasant to be able to get the kill there. They both ended up flashing there to get the kill on 2 kills. Probably not worth 2 flashes. It would have been better communication to see who would have ended up going on, though. But this now should be a free Drake over to DZG. Angry Peasant is quite low on mana, but I don't think Induce is posturing to potentially challenge for this. First Drake also going over to DZG as well.
Yeah, and if you're Angry President, you're kind of beating yourself up because you end up having to spend 2 flashes and a heal, all because you shoved the Lucian the wrong way with your W, and ends up not giving him enough space to run, and you need to close that gap. But this early game is just not going the way that Cloud Gaming wanted, of having anybody ahead, because the Nami Lucian isn't winning. They're honestly, if anything, slightly behind. The Kale's free scaling top lane. The Gwen, who got switched from jungle to mid, is beating Easton, and the Talia's doing a lot more work so far than the Lilia.
As the Taric dives away back to the fountain. See what he did there? He died off the boat and
okay.
ended up in the fountain.
I can start requesting a new co-caster now.
Hey man, dad vibes OP as Loverbull ends up trying to tickle Easton, trying to cut him up some more. Okay, I'll stop now. So,
oh my god.
2 kills up on the side of DZG, about 700 gold in their advantage as well. Now we know the game. Nice scout of the week. Now we know the game is definitely on a death timer for Cloud Gaming. We're about 12 minutes in now. Not much has really happened for them, with the exception of, well, nothing really positive with Easton and Kills dying. All lanes are more or less behind, with the exception, I mean, you would even say Kills is a little bit behind as well. Item-wise is up, though. This is exactly what DCG wanted. Like, this is what you want to see, as we see Induced is trying to clear out vision. Loverbull is nearby, though. Ghosts are being popped. Ulti ends up going down as well. Loverbull and Induced going on to a big fight here, though. Doesn't end up getting the kill right now. Scanner Week does miss. We do see the Orn here. The Orn Horn coming through. Ends up only getting the one knock up. Angry President and Lovable are still staying alive right now. Brothers of Earth is most likely going to end up getting the kill here, though. Kill going over to Easton. That was a lot that was committed to get the kill upon the Gwen, but it was worth it because it was onto the Syndra. And if you want your gold anywhere, it is going to be on Easton because, as we saw last game, my guy did work.
Was a lot spent, and I mean that was really well played by Lovable. DZG with Lovable and Angry President just overextending a bit too much, but they've been able to buy enough time that they end up having to spend 4 ultimates. Lilia picking a fight here with no ult.
Indeed, it's not the place you want to go, my friend. Tarek Ultimate coming up though. Bubble ends up coming through. Culling also ends up coming through. Quite a few things burned there as to no avail for both sides. But if you're on the side of DZG, you're happy. Because, like we said, the less that happens now, the better it is in the later run.
Yeah, and we said we didn't want to see a repeat of last game's early game on the side of DZG. And they've really cleaned it up. Lovable didn't get harassed early on, able to buy enough time. Just some simple trading going on mid lane.
I was going to say.
Able to buy enough time before he's able to kind of come online in lane. And no lane is falling significantly behind that you worry about it bleeding over into other lanes.
I do want to touch on something you mentioned earlier. Induced had a great game 1. A ton of impact around the map. And while Induced has tried to make the same thing happen for game 2, the setup has just not been there for any of the lanes. So you'll often see Induced walking towards a lane to say, hey, can we potentially make something happen here? But it doesn't quite end up working. Hello, if it's just a straight up between Lucian and, oh, here we go, we see Lovable and Eastern just dancing around each other. If Hello and Kills have all their sums up, you would think that Hello may end up getting the heavier burst damage down onto the Lucian versus vice versa. However, Kills also does not have the exhaust here as well. Angry Peasant is posturing mid, but ends up taking the chickens instead, while Lovable is about 20 CS up on Eastern right now. What does Clown Gaming need to do here to basically try and shut down DZG?
I think what Clown Gaming needs to do is they need to realize they are getting outscaled, and what happened in that bot river is your template. You need to be spending multiple ults and just trying to get what you can. You do have insurance with the Ornn and the Syndra, but you just cannot match the amount of late game on the side of DCG.
I think Induce is 0 for 3 right now on bowling balls mid lane. Not to say he's missed, but more so Lovable is dodged. I think that's the better way of wording it. As we see Cloud Drake coming up here right now, Prio is in the favor of Clown Gaming, so DZG does not look like they'll be pushing this. There should be a free Drake over to Clown Gaming. If you're DZG, this is fine for you because this means the game goes even longer. As we see the next Drake coming, oh, it's Hextech, baby. We got some gates coming up soon. So this is going to be Drakes that both teams are going to really want to push for. As we see Clown Gaming now pushing up towards the top side of the map. Probably just going to be getting a lot of vision down here, making sure Feathers doesn't end up in too much trouble.
Yeah, and I mean, if you DZG, you take this. You went 1 for 1 early dragons, so you don't have to worry about a really quick soul like you had to face last game.
Nice knockup.
Like you had to face last game, and I'm gonna steal this one from Twitch chat. You kind of need Lucian Nami to get an advantage of this game, so Clown Gaming can ride the wave to victory.
And you said I had bad puns. Northwork, my guy, you're trying to give me a run for my money here. I don't like that. I'll pull out all the dad jokes if needed. But looking back into the game, this game has just been a stalemate right now. Like, the gold is still decently favored. It's about 1,300 in favor of DZG, but it's nowhere near insurmountable. Kale has first item completed in Nash's Tooth, also has the T2 boost completed, assuming the second item will be the Rift Maker here. But even on the bot lane, like, Tristan is a little bit behind as far as items goes, but did spend the extra gold to get T2 boots, which I still believe is one of the best early pickups for any AD carry, almost any AD carry in the game right now. I am a little upset to see why we haven't seen more aggression from Kills and Shrouds. Lucian Nami should be all up in your face, bro. I know it's difficult going into a Tristana because Tristana also does hurt early as well. But you would think that you would want to see more pressure coming out early.
Yeah, and that brings up the question of, do you think for Cloud Gaming they have a misread on the game of thinking they can scale and take care of the Kale and thinking that's the only scaling they have to worry about? Because, yeah, as you said, we're not seeing the aggression that you would be hoping for this Lucian Nami. And Orange has been trading CS. Hold on.
Angry President does wall off the Orn here, though. Lovable's also here as well, but Feathers of Fur gets healed up. This is a really bad time. Oh, the wall coming in from Angry President. Feathers of Fur is not in that much trouble. Lovable's also expended a lot to beat up here. TB does coming in from Eastern Dome. Tower does end up going down. The fight can end up going through. Kale Ultimate ends up coming through, gets a humongo chunk down. Feathers of Fur is not long for this world, as ICG does end up trying to chase Eastern here. Who do you give the gold over to? Do you give it to the Gwen? Do you give it to the Talia? Or do you give it to the Kale? All are terrible options. Eastern trying his best to be able to get out. And we're very curious to see who they end up giving this. It's got to go to the Kale, right? Yeah, it ends up going towards ICGE there. Bot lane is still fairly trading though. Both lanes are still pretty decent on health goes. Hydenshaw doesn't have a ton of mana. Neither this kills. But Hello does have more or less full spec. And Symphonic also has the exhaust as well. That was a very good trade for DZG. However, that started off terribly. TP coming in from Gwen here, though. Bubble misses. Symphonic stun doesn't quite go through. Lovable coming down here with the TP just to make sure that provides more of an assistance than anything else. Lovable is walking forward, but nothing ends up happening of it.
Lovable may be feeling himself a little bit, but ultimately is 2-1 on this Gwen, scaling up perfectly fine. And you just have to be wondering, everything Cloud Gaming's been trying to do has been failing, whether it's proactive plays or just scaling, because DZG has a level 13 Kale at 19 minutes. This is a pretty advanced Kale that you were pathing towards and trying to shut down. I am a little disappointed in Game 2 with how little impact Induce has had. Whether that's on the blame of the laners not having the wave setup, or if that blame's on him. I'm not a jungler. I'm not qualified to make that decision. But ultimately, I wanted to see more impact from Induce.
Yeah,
Whoever that fault's on is up to somebody more qualified.
I mean, it's also, think about it, right? It's Lilia, like, the champion is going to be really difficult to deal with once team fights start coming up. I think it goes back to what we said at the beginning of the game, where team fighting for Cloud Gaming looks like a lot more in their favor just because of the setup that they have, but they just don't want to fall behind. Hydra get two great knockbacks from Angry President here. All ultimate coming through, ends up getting a knock up onto Angry President. Talia ends up going down. There should be a potential free drake coming up though. Lydia, Gwen is immune, double immune right there, mate. Tarek stun ends up coming through though. Lovable is potentially going to get the kill, not quite working though. Induced is still alive, somehow Buster Shot doesn't quite kill from Hello. This is a very tight fight. Symphonic trying to get the stun up, does not have flash yet to be able to go forward. Cloud Gaming barely getting through that with the win. However, 2 guilds going in their favor, and most likely Hextech here though, unless Symphonic wants to do some big titty things with Tarek.
You don't think Symphonics will be able to steal this, even if he wanted to without the flash?
Oh no, man. My guy's nipples are quite big. He might try and make an attempt for it.
Regardless of the size of Tarek's nipples, I was gonna say that fight mostly falls on DZG not playing it right. They were kind of split whenever the dragon was spawning, whenever Cloud Gaming got there first. Angry President and Lovable got caught earlier on, forcing DZG to make a quicker response after being run into. And at the very end, you have Lovable not focusing people who the rest of his team can't follow. I understand you're you're ahead on Gwen, but you're not quite 1v4 ahead. You're not to the point where you can solo carry this game. You just are ahead where you can maybe 1v2. We gotta add a couple more numbers before we can get to that 1v4, 1v5 situation.
Well, it's like what we said at the beginning of the game, right? Cloud Gaming's comp is a lot easier to execute than DZG's. And I think that's a sign that shows even though Clown Gaming barely won the fight, they have more reliable tools to be able to get the kills down. Whereas if you look on the side of DZG, you have a knockback from from Talia, not real much other CC apart from Symphonic and a Buster Shot from Tristana as well. Not a ton of CC there. Whereas if you look on the side of Clown Gaming, damn near, with the exception of Lucian, until he picks up Sherelda's, damn near every champion has a form of CC or something to be able to allow the rest of the team to follow up on. Blade of the Rune King looks like it's being built second for Killzone. I really wonder if that's the case because there's no one terribly beefy on the side of DZG with the exception of, I mean, I would say Tarek, but that's not even there yet.
Yeah, Tarek's still waiting on getting that first completion. And you see Shroud's getting that Chemtech Putrefier rush, which it really hurts being a support. This happened to me earlier today. Is unless you rush that, you don't do much. Your base Grievous Wounds is 20 or 25%, and that's just not enough to do really about anything. You'd rather just go more damage and survivability.
Ooh, you're just missing with the bowling ball there. I do want to see Clown Gaming kind of be a little bit more aggressive about it, though. That isn't fair, is you don't want to be trading with Lovable right here. Lovable's already at an item and a half. I do want to point something out, though. ICGE's been very quiet this game. It's already at level 14, 2 items on KO. I'm assuming if next item is Death Cap, by the time that comes through, this KO's going to be strong. It's at 210 CS at 24 minutes ticking over now. That's a lot. Like, KO, that's all he's been doing is just farming. The kill and the assist have helped a lot, but this KO is soon going to be a really big problem for Clown Gaming to deal with.
Yeah, KO's going to be a big problem, and I think ICG's kind of stepped up to what I said earlier of Clown Gaming taking the Ornn, saying, we dare you to try and do something impactful other than just sit and farm. And he just said, I'm going to sit and farm and still impact the game just as much on this KO.
And that's one thing that, if you're on Clown Gaming, how do you deal with the KO and the Gwen? With a Tristana just free firing from the backline along with a Talia. Like,
yeah,
they're not terribly tanky. You can still burst them, but there's a lot of survivability on that team as well.
One thing I'll say about DZG is they're not incredibly tanky, but they have a lot of ways to buy space. You have Gwen W to make yourself immune. You have Kale Ultimate to make whoever gets caught immune. And then you have Talia E making it where it's harder to traverse and get onto your backline. You have Tristana jumping away, kiting for herself, and you have Tarek, who's just... He's Tarek. He can buy all the space he wants.
Yeah, good luck killing me, bro. I got the Halo coming down, fam.
So it's not necessarily tank that DZG has, but it's the ability to just say, you don't get to go here, here, and here, and oh, you want to go on this person? You can't hurt them at all right now.
It makes me wonder why Kills is also going Lucian, though. But they end up moving forward, went a little bit far ahead, and Funny does get tagged by the bowling ball, though. And Deuce gets stunned. It's going to take a wee bit of damage here from Tristana. Tristana's nearly at 2 items. Once she ends up getting that PD, she's going to hurt. And that explosive charge will detonate pretty darn quickly, especially with the Q active as well, though. Knockup does hit Zymphonic, though. I think after we saw...
flank.
He is on the flank. He's right on the side. Yeah, we don't quite see it happening, though. Clown Gaming seems to be a little bit in 2 spaces, though. The 4v5 currently with mid lane going down. They're trying to give as much solo XP as they can to ICG, who is now at 15. Fight will be in the side. Shroud is about to go down. Brothers and Fur is still alive. Ultimate coming down from Tarek, though. Drowsy also coming through. 4-man sleepers, more all the time in the world, and Symphonic ends up going down, being the first one. Lovable is on the back line as well, but we do see the Ornn going down as well. Lovable is trying to get all the kills potential, but Easton can't quite get the kill. This is a 2-for-1 victory on the side of DZG. But with this Drake being started off, Hextech Drakes do work. Angry Present is going to wall off Induce, potentially getting in. That was very, very close on both sides.
It was really close, except for the fact ICG never got touched besides slept. The only thing that hit him was the Lily Asleep, and Cloud Gaming kind of paying for the sins of the past of not being able to shut down this KO that you're pathing to and not having as strong an early game that you were hoping to have. Because now Kale is about to hit level 16, And that was a level 15 KO. Just wait until you have a level 16 KO pre-firing if these future fights are anything like that last one.
Yeah, with the decap coming in as well, though, this Kaylee is going to be terrifying. Lovable trying to play Catch Me If You Can with Induced and Shrouds here. It sounds really bad. I hear Shrouds and I think of the CSGO player. Like, my guy should be just melting everyone at this point. Putrefy obviously coming in, though, for Shrouds as ICGE. Ends up sidestepping that as well. Is still not quite 16, but he's not afraid to step over. Scatter of the Week does it. That's a lot of damage, bro. That's a lot. Only at 1.5 items for Eastern. And ends up getting a ton of damage onto ICGE. We're almost there. This kill's about to hit 16. And if you're the side of Clown Gaming, I'm genuinely thinking, how do you kill him? It's kind of on Eastern and Induced to get some really good hard-lighted CC to be able to set up the rest of the team, but they're going to get very, very difficult to kill.
One thing, going to the question of how do they deal with ICG, I don't know exactly how close he is to 16, but he has to be getting pretty darn close.
Yeah, he's got 2 rods now.
The thing you have to be wondering is, yeah, you can CC him, but can you CC him through 2 invulnerabilities of the Kale ult into the Taric ult? Because if DZG times it right, which there's always room for error in these things, you go Kale ult, buying you time while the Taric ult lands. By the time the Taric ult lands, or by the time Kale ult expires, Taric ult is landing, and that's like 5 to 6 seconds of uninterrupted invulnerability where if you're CCing them, good, they can't hit you, but you're not doing damage and you're wasting your spells.
Oh, Zimvana got pulled. Kills is moving forward. It may actually commit for the kill here. Not quite going to commit to it though. I do want to point something out. Kills on Blended Roofing second. Hello? Went from potentially finishing off that PD, went straight to LDR. I'm assuming he thinks that this spawn is going to be a much bigger problem than they had originally intended. With Baron now being started, TV coming in from Feathers and Fur, this is going to be a potentially huge fight here, as Lovable's also walking forward. They know Lovable's here. Or do they? They don't know. They back off. Lovable's like that sniper in the bush that's like, oh, they kind of see me, but they kind of don't.
Hold your breath.
I'm going to sit here and look cute. He just walked right by me. You know he was also clenching his butt cheeks like, oh, he's going to be able to kill me there. Fight comes in. Oh, ICG gets caught on the wrong side of the wall. Shrouds with a great bubble though. Eastern moving forward is moving backwards, potentially stopping up some one shot. They are really peeling away though. The rest of DZG is not afraid to chase forward. Killstick going up, culling. On top of that, nobody to get much short. That was great from Clown Gaming not having to lose anyone there though, because now they're able to go back and heal. They can at least potentially contest this Baron coming up. More bowling balls coming up from Induce though.
Yeah, but I want to see, just look at how quickly they can shred it.
Yeah, this is going down so quickly.
Compare this to Cloud Gaming trying to sneak it. This is going to be done before they can even respond.
Yeah, Angry Pessimism is securing it though. Zimphonic is trying to get the stun lock working. Form going in with the arc coming up from the Lydia. Full man sleep. Induced did his job right there. Zimphonic may not be long for the swirl. Eastern is also down to 1/4 HP. Induce is a little bit slow from the fruits out there, and DZG is just saying, you know, we're trying to get out. Induce is still saying, no, we have to make something happen here, but you're about to die, my friend. Lovable got knocked back thanks to Eastern. Oh, Induce may have just been knocked into Lovable's cutting parts right here. Gwen is immune. Gwen is going to be immune like 19 times in this fight. Ends up getting the kill onto Induce. Great tidal wave. That was a great tidal wave from Shroud. Ends up saving the rest of his team there.
There's a great tidal wave, but you can't sit.
Lovable still moving forward. Eastern with a great knockback as well. ICG is now saying, my turn, bro. Flasher, I've been here the whole game. You just didn't know I was here. Gets a double kill down over to the kill as well. This, with the Baron going down, they may potentially look for an endgame here.
Yeah, and as good as that tidal wave was, you just can't you can't confident yourself because it doesn't really matter. Yes, you were able to buy the time, but you're not able to run away fast enough from the team that just hyper scale.
Oh, then they could have potentially gone to the end because Eastern still had 20 seconds to lose up, and Shroud was up in 10 seconds as well. They could have potentially pushed something more. I don't think they got as much use of that Baron buff as they tried to, but DZG saying, you know what, we'd rather play this safe. We don't want to accelerate the game where it's not needed. We want to secure the Drake here. this Drake will now put them onto Soul Point, with now being damn near makes no difference, 10k gold up, and a death camp coming through for ICGE. We're at that stage now where this Kale is a problem, Max.
Yes, Kale's definitely a problem, and yes, I will agree with you. I think DZG could have looked for an end there. You had Induce coming up, who had Sleep also coming up not too long after him. And one thing that you have to... Oh, hold on.
Oh, Shrouds, be careful, my friend. Ends up getting knocked back into Aggressive, goes down to ICGE. Feathers of Fur had to burn the ultimate there to try and save the support. Not quite panning out as well as they wanted to there, though. They may end up trying to just chase the Sworn, though. They're actually fully committing to this, but they don't see Eastern as a great knockback. Well done, mate. That was a solid job.
And going back to the thought I was going to say before Shrouds got caught just going for that ward, is if you're DZG, you don't really care if this game goes longer. You're not the team that was on the timer. Cloud Gaming's paying for not being able to accelerate this game. And if you're DZG, the longer this game goes, to an extent, the better it is for you, because you're still going to start getting more items onto your Gwen, more items onto your Tristana.
I think coming through. Gets a chunk of damage down there, though. Lovable doesn't care for Induced. He's like, I'm going to take this tower, bro. You want to keep fighting me as well? Guess what? I want veal for dinner, fam. Ult comes out from Induced, so ends up barely missing that Q charge. Lovable is still burning away here, but Induced gets the massive shutdown onto this Gwen. There was a fight happening bot lane as well, where Tatroot Zinfonic had to burn the ultimate. That was actually pretty darn big, because Induced got a huge shutdown from Lovable as well. But I just tried to go forward to get some vision, but I guess we're having sushi and deer for dinner tonight, boys.
And the CT even missed. That just shows you how strong this Kale is now. And yes, the Induced finally was able to get this shutdown.
Oh, coming in from the Ornn, ICG ends up getting knocked up, but is invulnerable as well. Angry Peasant ends up putting the wall up to say, nah, fam, this is my wall. You can't touch my Kale. I was under my protection. This is straight Lord of the Rings Gondor right here, fam. Try and take my Gandalf, because it ain't gonna quite work. This bot tower will be going down for favor of DZG as well. Cloud Gaming have got to the point where you have to commit to something. ICG is just going to try and do whatever it can to kill the whole damn base. Eastern gets up getting a knockback, and Feathers of Fur ends up getting a lock up. ICG does end up going down as well. That's a huge shutdown for Syndra, by the way. On top of that, though, bot inhibitor does end up going down. They may want to continue to chase this, because Gwen is not... Yeah, Angry President is going to get knocked up and knocked up. Zhonya's ends up going up here. At least a stopwatch there. Angry President ends up going down. We're seeing reminiscence of last game where where Clown couldn't close out. DZG's now getting to that point. It's like, hey, we can win the game. Can't quite close it out, lads.
Yeah, we're seeing some repeats from last game, just teams flipped with sides staying the same. And it all stemmed from Lovable dying to Induced top lane. He was trying to cut himself up some venison and just wasn't able to get it and end up dying for it. And Induced spent his time getting top tower, getting the bounty off of that. But the question you're asking yourself if you're Cloud Gaming is that enough? Is that enough gold to win these fights? Because you weren't able to chain it into something. You weren't able to chain it into multiple bounties. You weren't able to chain into a Baron and a Dragon. It just led to some kills and CF.
Lovable is getting chased by Induced again. Staying in the pit though to clear out that ward. However, Clown is saying, you know what, we really want a piece of this, but the moment they saw this Kale, everyone started backing up. Good knockback by Eastern. Eastern's going to get chunked down quite heavily, though. Whereas the Rift Scuttler ends up going in favor of Clown Gaming. Now we feel like the game's on a knife edge. Like, one big team fight, if let's say whoever ends up 4 or 5 acing, this could be the game right here. Hydrogen Shrouds ends up walking away. Induce is staying in the bush here, though, to try and not get caught. Kills is going to have to run away, flashes over the wall to try and not die. Induce ends up going through, and ends up getting Zhonya's off as well. Gets the E off, doesn't quite end up getting killed. Feathers of Fur is 1 HP versus ICG, and you are not going to beat this Kale like that, my friend. Induce throwing out the bowling ball, lands it only onto Zinfonic. DZG kind of trying to figure out what they want to do. I would assume the Baron is the call here, because Clown Gaming just cannot respond to this right now. Just look how quickly this Baron is gone. Like, there's no way in hell.
It's going to be dead before Dragon's even up, giving DZG time if they want it. Yeah, just walking down, going to grab Soul as well. You don't have to worry about Ornn. at all really for this fight unless it goes for an absurdly long time. And the just sit and scale tactic for DZG definitely paying off here.
Yeah, this is Soul and Baron both. My thought after this is back spend your gold, run it down mid, and end the game, lads, because this game should be damn near over. If you're on the side of Clown, oh no, I don't know. You've had a couple great fights here and there, but this game may be a little bit too difficult because this Kale is 6-1 and 3, 4 items completed. Gwen has got some serious HP and has picked up a stopwatch as well. Kills has got a little bit more defensive with the build, picking up the more Malmortius, gives you great survivability. The passive will be up in the next team fights. It's, you definitely have to say this is very much so in the favor of DZG right now. And as we said, they are NA ramming this right down mid lane. Bubble from Shrouds misses, knockback hits onto Hello. Good target to hit though. Look at Feathers and Fur. Feathers and Fur is on a bit of a flank. Lovable moving forward. The stun ends up hitting onto Induce. Induce ends up dying real quick. Lovable is really shredding, no pun intended, through this team right now, just cutting left, cutting right, bro. My skizzers are sharp, fam. ICG says, I want some of this too, ends up flashing forward. Feathers and Furs not really able to do much as an assassin on hit in the back line. Both Nexus towers go down, and this game ends up being in the favor of DZG.
Yeah, this game a lot cleaner. You're a lot happier if you're Gopamine Elysium's coach. And if you're on the side of Clown Gaming, you kind of just have to say what went wrong in the early game. Because you knew going into this that you had to win early, and you just were never able to establish that. The Syndra and Lilia actually able to dealing a lot of damage, but it feels like a lot of their damage came at points in the game. At points in the game where it didn't exactly matter. You were hitting people who were invulnerable. You were hitting people who were tanky. Like the Gwen was surprisingly tanky for her sitting in the front line and still dealing so much damage. And ICG just never got punished for sitting top lane for an eternity. Most gold in the game, most damage in the game, best KDA. If I'm the Elysium, I'm saying, all right, we know our strengths are late game and ICG. Did a really good game on the Ornn playing weak side and Kale playing semi-weak side and then doing damage later. And if you're on the side of Clown Gaming, there are definitely upsides. Induced and Easton, amazing mid-jungle synergy. That is definitely something you can look for in future games to work on. And Induced seems like a really good jungler. We weren't able to see it in game 2, but I think that's in part because he never had enough lane setup. Lilia is not the kind of jungler who can gank just about any lane. She needs those longer lanes, the people to already be slightly overextended.
I do think that Clown Game is going to do really well for AGO. Especially if Game 1 had anything to say about it, because Game 1 was constant back and forth. Even Game 2, like, they never had any fear of losing. It was like, okay, we know we're behind. How can we be as proactive about this as possible? I will throw this out there, like you said. I personally think Induced played really, really well. Game 1. Game 2, like you said, struggled a little bit, but if you're able to give him more champions like the Trundle, something where he can continuously go forward and heavily affect other lanes, then you probably end up seeing more action and even better results for the team moving forward.
Yeah, both teams having their futures kind of brightened because neither team necessarily stomped these games, especially Game 1. It was so close. Game 2 was a bit more DZG favored, and you can put your blame where you want, but I think both of these teams are going to be able to put a foothold either based off this week or next week in AGL and definitely be a threatening team.
I expect both teams to do pretty well, to be honest with you. We look forward to see how both teams will end up progressing in AGL. This is only week 1, remember? So we're looking forward to see how things end up going forward. We love Clown Gaming here. We always enjoy having them, not only on stream, but also in chat as well. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us tonight. My name is Morpheus. I've been joined by Mags as well as Alyssa on production. Have a lovely evening, and we'll see you all next week.